Black people need to stop complaining about systemic racism and take some personal responsibility. Everyone is equal under the law now. They may be policed more, but that's only because they commit a disproportionate amount of the crime. Why? Well, I'm not saying that black people are naturally more likely to be criminals or anything. I just think it's a part of their culture. Why? Well, probably because their dads weren't around to raise them properly. Why? I don't know, probably because they were too poor to afford a kid, so they left. Why? Well, they probably can't get a good job because they never went to college. Why? Well, I guess it is probably because they couldn't afford it, but they didn't get good enough grades to get a scholarship either. Why? Well, I guess that is probably because their school is underfunded. Why? Because school funding is determined by property taxes and they were born into poor areas. Why? Because their family hasn't been able to build enough wealth to move out. Why? Because the first black people who were born with equal rights under the law are less than 60 years old.
What's up, real ones? Welcome to Let's View It. Have I ever told you guys I cannot stand Officer Brandon Tatum? I can't stand the guy. He comes off so smug. He thinks he's so smart, and I get it. He has a lot of followers. He has a lot of supporters, and they think he's smart too. But the reason why they think he's smart is because he's a grifter. And if you don't know what a grifter is, basically on social media, you have grifters and you have trolls, and they are opposites of each other. So basically, trolls will say things to piss off a certain group of people. They know it will piss them off, so they say it just to be annoying and a nuisance. Well, grifters do the exact opposite. They say things to make a certain group happy. They know the certain group's opinions and thoughts, and they basically just reinforce it and back them up. So obviously, grifters gain a lot of supporters and followers because they're like, hey, this guy's so smart because he thinks just like me. And who can be smarter than someone that knows I'm right? Tell me, who? Exactly. Nobody. But that's Brandon Tatum's whole thing. That's his whole shtick. However you say it, he is a grifter. And one of the biggest narratives that he loves to push is that America is basically the most non-racist place ever and possibly never racist at all. And I know I'm a sarcastic person.
But right now I'm not being sarcastic.
He has literally said it might have been worse in the past, but I wasn't alive then, so I don't know. I don't know how much more disrespectful you can get to your grandparents or your great-great-grandparents, but damn. Anyways, the reason why I don't like him, because I believe you can say whatever you want on YouTube, is that he basically is pushing the narrative that the downfalls or the shortcomings of the black community is all because of black people. It's all our fault. It has nothing to do with slavery or Jim Crow or anything in the past. And while he's trying to push this whole non-racist narrative, which it would be great if America wasn't racist, at the same time, he is the reason, he is the problem of why racism stays in America. Not him solely, but this message and others that push this message. So really, he's just a hypocrite. As much as he wants racism not to exist, he's helping it exist. And for the ones that don't understand what I'm saying, you will once this video is over. Now, some of his supporters have always come at me and say, well, if you're so smart, why don't you debate him? And I keep telling y'all, I would debate him. I have no problem debating him. Actually, I think it would be a very easy debate. He's not that smart, but he won't debate me. And that's for a couple reasons. And no, I'm not saying he won't debate me because I asked and he told me no. I don't really need to waste my time to know he's gonna tell me no. But maybe if you guys get on his ass, I'm talking to his supporters, if you get on him and say, hey, Tyrone Cross from Let's View It said he wants to debate you and I think you should do it, I think you should destroy him and show him how stupid he is, then maybe he would do it. But I still think he wouldn't do it because I have outs every which way because I'm not tied down to a political party, basically. So I'm a free mind. I can say and think any opinion I want, not worried about who I'm pissing off or if I'm making my side look negative. because I don't have a side. I don't represent anybody but God. So with that being said, I can back Officer Tatum into a corner because he's a conservative, plus claims to be a Christian, but he can't back me into a corner. This topic of whether there's racism in America or whether blacks are just playing victimhood, this certain type of topic, it's a political topic. Even though it's our life and it's in reality, it's been taken over by politics. Even on his video that we're gonna watch, it says that he dismantles a smug black liberal's victimhood. Can't it just be his victimhood? But anyways, that's one reason why he won't debate me. And since he will never debate me, what I'm gonna do is basically indirectly debate him through his video. Of course, he won't respond to me, obviously, because it's pre-recorded, but I still think I'll get my point across. Now, real quick, let me reiterate, the topic of debate is whether or not the racist history, slavery, Jim Crow, has contributed or have anything to do with the shortcomings of the black community, whether it's financial, education, parenting, drugs, crime, or is it all just because black people make bad choices? Now, one last thing before I hit play. There's a thought, a seed I want to plant in your brain before we start listening to Tatum run his mouth. And that is this. How many white people do you know move to black communities to better their life or to gain better opportunities? Just think about it. So you already know. Let's view it.
What's your name?
Chris.
Chris? Okay,
Yeah.
Chris.
I noticed you have the, unless I read wrong, you have the Make America Great Again.
Yeah, I do.
I want you to tell me exactly the point in history where America was great.
You know,
As
it's
a
funny.
black man.
Point to me a time in history where America wasn't great. Tell me where
The
it
birth
started.
of America?
No, point in America where
country
America
was
wasn't
built
great.
on
Like I said earlier, Tatum is a professional debater. He did not answer that kid's question. He answered this question with a question. And again, this is a young college kid, so he's probably not ready to respond to the question he just shot right back at him. Tatum should have just answered this question, but he knew he couldn't answer it. Now, maybe he'll try, but I doubt it. Now, if I was that kid, I would have been like, well, for me or for who? And then let Tatum clarify that before I answer.
on murder and thievery and deception. What do you mean?
Now let me explain this to you real quick. This is for everybody to listen to. Everybody always have this perception that we shouldn't acknowledge America as being great. America started at a certain point and grew and came better over time. No country that you know of was 100% perfect at the foundation. No country.
You
no
didn't answer my
country in the
question.
world. No countries in Africa, no countries in Europe. You can name it. Everybody started at a certain point, and it became greater
You
over
didn't
time.
answer my question.
Ever since you've been alive, America has been the greatest it's ever been.
You think so?
100%, brother. You can name somewhere else that's better than America. And why don't you live there?
I'm not sure.
I know you're not sure because they don't exist.
Were they?
Show me somewhere else that's as diverse as America. Anywhere.
As
Pick it.
diverse?
That's as diverse.
What does diversity mean if people are
Opportunities
being
for
discriminated
all
against?
people. Show me another country that give opportunities for all people like America
Do you
does.
think we have the same opportunity as everybody else, as
Who-
black people?
Yeah, 100%.
With a 200-year economic head start on us and no
What's
reparations?
stopping you now? Aren't you at this university?
Yeah.
Again, this is just a college kid, but if he was quick and a good debater, he would have noticed that Tatum already contradicted himself. He literally represents MAGA. What does MAGA stand for? Make America Great Again. What did Tatum just tell this kid?
Everybody started at a certain point, and it became greater
You
over
didn't
time.
answer my question.
Ever since you've been alive, America has been the greatest it's ever been.
America's the greatest it's ever been since you've been alive. So then why do we need to make it great again? Wouldn't that be making it worse? Now imagine me debating Tatum and telling him this. What is he gonna say? He's doing what I said he would do. He's backing himself into a corner because he's trying to appease his right side. He wants to represent MAGA, but then saying America's the greatest it's ever been right now is going against trying to make it great again. I guess we're trying to make it greater than ever. Just change your slogan to that. Make America greater than ever. But the reason why I stopped it here, I'm trying not to forget because I have no script. The reason why I stopped it here is because I wanted to give you guys a definition, because there's going to be a word that always comes up when it comes to this conversation, and it's opportunities. And even Tatum apparently doesn't know the definition of opportunities, or just is being willfully ignorant. So right here, I looked up the word opportunity. A set of circumstances that makes it possible to do something. A set of circumstances that makes it possible to do something. So do black neighborhoods have the same opportunities as white neighborhoods? If you've never been to a ghetto or a hood, let me tell you, no. In fact, they have more negative opportunities, right? It's easier to join a gang in a black community than it is a white community. Why? Because there aren't any gangs in white communities, really. So the opportunity to get in a gang in a white community is very slim. They would have to move to a black community to be a gang member. You see, Tatum is using the word opportunity as in right to try to do something. A black person can try to go to college. A black person can try to be a doctor. A white person can try to go to college. A white person can try to be a doctor. We can all try to do whatever we want. But the opportunity is not the same. If a black person wants the same opportunities, or at least close to the same opportunities as a white person, guess where they have to move to? That's right, the white suburbs. And if a white person wants the same opportunities as a black person, then guess where they're gonna have to move to? That's right, the hoods, the ghettos. And when I say white and black person, I'm talking about in general. I know that some black people live in the suburbs, but we all know that overall, this country might be a melting pot, but the cities are segregated. It is what it is. And I don't mean segregated by white hate today, but that's how they ended up segregated. That's why we have highly populated black communities and highly populated white communities. There's not very many cities that are like 50-50. Me, myself, I spent most of my life since the age of 7 or 8 living in white suburbs and white cities. But my point being, as much as Officer Tatum uses this word, he doesn't even know the definition. If he did, it seems it would be simple to understand that black people coming from black communities, which is the majority of us, don't have the same circumstances / opportunities to do the exact same things that white people do in white communities in the exact same way. Or maybe I'm just stupid.
You at the university just like all these white people. Mm-hmm. How's that any different? Can't you?
I want you to go 2 blocks that way and tell me where they at.
You can.
Didn't I tell you he wanted this debate at a college so he can use it against him? You're right here at this university with all these white people, which, by the way, is even proving his point more. Look at how many white people there are compared to black people. And let me guess, Brandon Tatum's like, that's because black people don't like to choose to go to college.
You can go to class, you can make good grades. I'm hoping that you're making straight A's. How is America stopping you from doing that? And how is it stopping you from being prosperous enough to go down the street and make a difference in your own community? How is America stopping you from doing that?
Why is it my responsibility to make a difference in my community that was sabotaged from the start?
Let's go back to the foundation.
Do you think the CIA planted drugs in our communities?
They didn't make you sell it.
Do you think they...
No, I agree.
Do you think the CIA planted crack in our communities? They didn't make you sell it? Black people had no jobs. What else were they gonna do? They weren't educated. They didn't have no jobs. And that even came from the history of racist America not wanting to fund our schools, not wanting to give us jobs, not wanting to give us loans. The best and easiest way for us to make quick money, starting from nothing, was to sell drugs. And on top of that, a lot of us didn't have parents, guidance, things like that. So they're sucked in as kids. It's a vicious cycle. Their parents didn't have guidance. Their parents were on drugs. It's a vicious cycle.
They didn't make you sell it.
And honestly, we don't even know if that's true. Hell, the CIA could have made them sell it. They could have. Who knows? Sell this shit now, or else I'm killing your whole family. We don't know. We really don't know. But either way, the whole situation and circumstances were still set up for it to happen. And I'm not saying just because the circumstances and situations were set up that it should happen. And to clarify myself, I didn't come from the greatest examples and situations. When I was born, my dad was a 15-year-old Crip. I've seen some crazy stuff. I grew up on welfare. So honestly, I look at myself as an overachiever. In no way am I a victim. But I'm not stupid enough or ignorant enough to think just because I'm strong-willed enough and had fortunate situations like my mom was half white, so she already had a white family in the suburbs, and that's where we moved to get away from my dad, yada, yada, yada. I'm humble enough and appreciative enough to understand that me getting to live in the white suburbs gave me an advantage to me growing up in the hood. For me to say otherwise would be completely ignorant and non-appreciative. So if Brandon Tatum was sitting there and going, "What's stopping you?" Well, nothing stopped me. I had the right circumstances. My family had a white connection that got me to the suburbs. I'm also who I am. Maybe you should give people who overcome and make something out of nothing more credit instead of thinking everybody can do it. And even with me being a success story and an overachiever, I was nowhere near rich. I'm just saying I had a decent life. So I have no idea why Brandon Tatum thinks just because this kid's going to college that somehow he's going to gain enough power and wealth to somehow impact the whole community. What the hell is he talking about? Not everybody has Brandon Tatum's voice. Unfortunately, he's not helping the community. He's helping some bullshit narrative.
Do you think they burned down
stories of how
black
the CIA,
businesses? Do you know what Black Hollywood is?
Let's go one at a time. I've heard stories that the CIA planted drugs in the inner city communities. Not every black community, but in some. They still don't make you go and sell drugs to your brother, do they? Why are you not selling drugs right now? Because it doesn't make sense for you to do that. You have an opportunity to go to a university, get an education, and make yourself better and make your family better in the next few generations. Nobody's stopping us from doing that. I'm sitting on campus right now, and all these people are listening to me.
You know what's stopping
What's stopping me?
Money.
Well, in America, what's stopping you from making money in America?
What the f is not stopping us from making money?
You
what
go
the
to the
fuck
same university as all these white people. How you got a different?
Exactly.
You said what? Excuse me?
We're in debt.
That's
our
your
fault. Pull yourself up by your bootstraps, right?
Okay, I went to.
Tatum's full of shit. We all know college doesn't guarantee success, but we do know it can give you a big ass bill. A lot of people get college broke. What is Tatum talking about? See, he's not being real in his conversations. These aren't even real society conversations, let alone racist conversations. White or black, we know college doesn't just mean you're guaranteed to get a bunch of money and success. What is he talking about? I bet Brandon Tatum didn't even go to college. I have a feeling most successful people didn't go to college. Do I know that as a fact? No, I don't, but I wouldn't be surprised. But look at what Brandon Tatum's solution is. Why don't you go to college, get a career somehow, I guess accumulate abundance of money, and then go change the black community? One single person what are you talking about, Brandon Tatum? So you're saying the whole black community needs to come together, go to college, get careers, make great money so they can come back to the black community and make it better? How is that fair, and why would that be the case? Black people technically aren't the ones that wanted the community this bad. It was created. The best this kid can do is make himself better and his family better, and hopefully his family tree from this point on better. But he is just a speck of sand when it comes to black people.
We were never given boots to begin with.
Let's start with this. I actually went and graduated from a university. So I'm not a guy that didn't go to college. I had a full scholarship.
Okay, I was wrong. Tatum went to college.
So I didn't pay for school in my undergrad. Graduate school, I paid for out of my pocket. I did not get a loan. I mean, I did not have to get loan forgiveness or nothing like that. I had $11,000 worth of debt and I paid it. How is that different than anybody else out here?
Because everybody doesn't have the same opportunity.
I'm black though. How did I pay my loan off and you can't? Or
You see, this youngster said because everybody doesn't have the same opportunity. That's a fact. There's no arguing that. Why everybody doesn't turn out the same is because everybody doesn't have the same opportunity. That's common sense. Even if you look at it without race, right? If you live in bumfucked Egypt and you want to be an actor, do you think you got a good opportunity to make it compared to someone that lives in Hollywood or New York? No, right? You would probably want to relocate to get better opportunities. It has nothing to do with your race at that point, but even different locations have different opportunities. And no one is saying that a black person can't succeed. Again, this guy responds to Tatum saying, these other black people are in college right now because they didn't have the same opportunities as I did. Tatum ignores him and just says,
Well, I went to college and I'm black and I don't have this loan and I don't.
So what? That's not the point. We all know there's outliers. When do you ever use outliers as the way of the norm or what should be? And on top of that, no one is saying not one single black person can succeed. We're talking about in general as the whole black community, because that's what it's about, right? It's about the community being strong. We don't get the same opportunities. How is that hard to see?
Where you from?
Wait, I'm from Texas, Fort Worth, Texas, Dunbar High School.
Fort Worth,
right
Texas.
in the hood and stop 6. Right in the hood and stop 6. How did I get to this point if America's against me?
Did everybody in your neighborhood get to that point?
Well, different choices. There's a lot of people in my
Where your
neighborhood that
childhood
made it out
friends at?
because they made better choices. I could have sold drugs. I didn't. Why?
What do you-
Because I wanted something better out of my life.
What do you say about the disproportionate wealth?
I'm sorry if I'm pausing it too much, but Tatum's just stupid. Okay, different choices, but what's leading people to make these different choices? He's ignoring all the variables, or should I say, opportunities these people had to go through that led them to these choices, or maybe why they lean to these choices. Again, I'm not making excuses, but you shouldn't be surprised if someone's in the inner cities and they grow up to be a gangbanger. And if you are, then you got a long ways to go.
Is that
Okay.
Does that not matter?
It's about culture. How much money do you save?
I don't know. I'm in debt, bro.
You in debt. How much do you invest?
I don't know.
How did you get into debt? Who chose to come here?
Me.
Well, that's you laid it out. Now, when you
Did that just happen? Bro says, I'm in debt. How you in debt? He points to the college he's going to. Then he goes, and whose choice was that? Tatum, your whole point was that more black people need to go to college. This black person saying, I ain't got no money because I'm in college, and you're blaming it on his choice now. You guys really think this guy is smart? He can't even remember what he said 2 sentences ago. Dumb black people choosing to go to college and get in debt. Is that going to be the next narrative, Tatum? And in all fairness, let's face it, America is expensive, so you can make money and go nowhere. So why Tatum keeps talking about all this saving and all this and that? It's expensive. You can have a job and be broke.
Now, when you come here, for every college student here, this should be an investment into your future.
Right.
Anybody that know anything about making money knows that you have to invest to get to the next step.
always
You
supposed to know
you
anything
may
about
be in
making
debt.
money.
You may be in debt to make an investment to get to the next step. So if you do this properly, this is a debt investment to make more money in the future. If you come here and clown around and take a major that won't put you anywhere, then you just got into debt for no doggone reason. It's a cultural thing. Black people in America don't have wealth like others because they choose not to generate wealth through investments and passing their money down.
Who's teaching us to do this?
We should teach each other to do it. Why does somebody got to teach? You want the white man to teach us? Is that what you're saying?
I mean, hell, teach us something.
Okay, no, you could teach something. You got a college, you can get a college education. When you have children, teach your
so
children.
basically help.
Tatum is showing that he's a more dominant debater than this youngster. So this youngster didn't know what to say to that, and he said, hell, they should teach us something. That was a dumb comment. Really, I don't think he knew what to say, so that fell out his mouth. But that's why I'm here to help him. So they're talking about generating wealth, right? And Tatum wants to say black people don't invest right. We don't teach each other to generate wealth. Well, why would that be? And he's also saying that this is why we are behind financially to other people, meaning white people. But again, why is this the case? Why do black people maybe not teach other black people about investing as much as they should? Could it be because when they were slaves, they didn't get no money?
Why would you talk about investing when you have no money?
Could it be when Jim Crow was going on, they weren't really getting no money?
Why would you talk about investing when you ain't getting no money?
Could it be when we started getting money, it was coming from crime and drugs? Were those criminals supposed to invest in our communities and then make them better communities? Maybe they were, but then they got distracted with being criminals. Most of the time, even when black people do have money, it's not that much money. It's hard to save. And to invest, it's hard to invest. You got to know what you're doing, right? So then you got to pay someone to help you out to invest. Tatum is just being ignorant. He knows damn well none of this is that easy. And if it was for him, then just thank God. Thank him for blessing you. Thank him for your privileges. Stop being an asshole. Again, why are we acting like reality is the outliers? Go by the percentages. How do we tell if something is hard? By percentages, right? Even if you never play basketball in your life or are even an athlete, you know it's damn near impossible to make it in the NBA, right? How do you know this? By percentages, by the fact that there's less than 1% of the population in the NBA. So if you look at success coming out the hood, coming out the ghetto, is that a high percentage or a low percentage? It's a very low percentage. So that means it's probably very, very, very hard. And again, for a black person to succeed, or if they are successful, they usually move to a white neighborhood. And most white neighborhoods are like under 3% black. The last neighborhood I lived in was 0.72% black. 0.72. The one I live in right now is like 97 or 97 or 98% white. But that's how it is when you're a successful black person. You usually live in a highly populated white area. That speaks volumes right there. And yes, this young man could go to college, get a career, teach his kids how to invest. That's great. Again, that's one family tree. We're talking about a whole culture. Do you know how long it would take to fix the whole culture, one person at a time like this?
We know you have this 200-year head start.
That doesn't matter, bro. You don't have nothing to do with. You don't have nothing to do with that.
Oh.
You don't have nothing to do with that.
I thought you said one at a time.
You don't have nothing to do with that.
I don't have nothing to do with what?
The 200 years that you're talking about.
Yes, I do. Have you ever heard of generational trauma, generational wealth? My people don't own anything.
Where you come
nothing.
From?
How can you build something when my people come from nothing? I come from South Memphis.
This leads me to one of my biggest and important points. How did what this kid's grandfather, grandmother, great-great-grandparents went through, great-great-great-grandparents went through, have nothing to do with him? Why, when it comes to black history and black culture, whatever happened to us before has nothing to do with us now? But when it comes to other people, let's say the Jews, the Holocaust is still just as important today as it ever was. For whatever reason, when it comes to black people in our history, it never seems to matter or impact us for whatever reason. There is a narrative that wants to be pushed that black people are just reckless, violent, ignorant, self-destructive, all because it's in their DNA and we can't help it. We just make bad choices. If this is true, that we're naturally violent people, or aggressive people, or criminals, then explain to me why the hell didn't the slaves just kill the masters on the slave plantation? We completely outnumbered the slave owners. Wouldn't all the slave owners be dead? Even if we didn't want to kill them because, naturally, we want to kill people. Or why didn't we start killing each other on the slave plantation? Shouldn't the slave kill the next slave because we're inherently want to be violent to each other? Or let's take it to today. If we're naturally criminals, we're naturally violent, we naturally make bad choices, then how come the black people in the white suburbs tend to not be criminals or gangbangers? Are they just suppressing their urge to gangbang? Are they dying to go back to the hood just to get a taste of a drive-by? You know, it's always been funny to me when it comes to our history or what happened to us. It's all about being victims and victimhood and not taking accountability. But even in a microcosm, even in a smaller situation, say a kid's in foster care and they go home to home, maybe get abused, whatever the case may be. If that kid turns out to have behavior problems, you guys are like, yeah, well, he been in and out of foster homes, he been abused. It kind of makes sense. I feel bad for that kid. And I understand that thought. And in reverse, if that kid became something great, if that kid succeeded, if that kid still had a good heart, you'd be like, damn, that kid overcame that whole situation, that foster system, the abuse, and look at him now. He's a better man than I ever thought he could be. He beat the system. But you would never be like, so all the other kids should do the exact same thing and have no excuses. And if they say they failed in life because of the foster system, they're just making excuses and not taking accountability. Now there is some truth to that, but you still understand if they don't make it. You don't just start saying, well, all foster kids just make bad decisions. And that's just a small situation. If someone sits there and they're killing beers and you're like, damn, how come you can't stop drinking? They'll be like, I don't know, my dad was alcoholic, I've been around a lot of drinking. You don't say, stop making excuses. He's not even making an excuse. He's telling you why it's hard for him to stop drinking. He's just explaining it to you. It's the same thing when it comes to the black situation. We're just explaining how we got set so far behind, how we got put in this situation. And instead of going, oh, I get that, you guys say it's excuses and we're not taking accountability. But at the same time, since there's a certain group of people that has so much to do with and had their hands in creating these black communities, if you know what I mean, when do they take accountability? That's like me beating someone, abusing someone, and when that person becomes not a very good person or fails, and they're like, thanks to you, I had a crappy, shitty life, and I'm like, well, you should take more accountability. You'd be like, what? And one more example I like to give is I like to switch roles. And I say this, pretend that black people came to America with a bunch of white slaves. And we beat you guys, we raped you guys, we separated you from your family, we destroyed your history, we took all the freckles and brown-haired ones and put them out in the fields, and all the blondes and put them in the home, and gave them the good spot, so you guys started hating each other. Then one day, a group of blacks say, you know what, we shouldn't have white slaves. And we fight a war, but they win, so we let you guys go. And then you guys are like, well, can I have some money, some food, some work, some shelter? And we're like, hell no, you're free, but you can't stay here. So you guys go off to your little areas in your cities and you start building white communities, and we start planting drugs there. We take our slave patrol, turn them into police force to go mess with you. So you guys make up little gangs to protect your community, which throughout time turns into crime, selling the drugs that we put in your city so that you can make money because we wouldn't give it to you. We're not going to fund your schools much. We're not going to fund your homes much, and don't even think about getting a banking loan. But the white people don't give up. They fight, they strive, they start building a rich, prosperous community, but then we come and burn it up. We call it the Tulsa Massacre, and we take all your wealth, ruin it all, so you have to start all over again. But then you start building it back up. Your community is a little bit beat up. You're trying your best, but a lot of your people are struggling. A lot of your people are broken down. And then we sit there and go, well, what does that have to do with today? Make better choices. Show some accountability. My whole point being is this. If roles were switched, black people were the slave owners, White people were the slaves. White people went through Jim Crow and all the oppression. Do you really think white people would be better off financially than us right now? Now, according to Tatum's thought and theory, yes, they would, because black people make bad choices and it has nothing to do with our history. Now let that one dance in your brain for a little while.
And I come from Stop 6.
Congratulations.
Congratulations. I went to university.
What does
university.
comparison mean?
It
What
means
does
that
comparison mean
just
when the
real quick.
statistics say that we are behind?
We're not behind. Some people are behind. We're not behind. Why? Because we make positive decisions. He not behind. He not behind. She not behind. Do I want to go point
You're
out
on
all
a
the black
college
people?
campus.
But does college guarantee us success?
You're on a college campus.
It depends on what you do with what you have presented to you. You were born in wherever you were born at. Look at you now. What's the difference between you and other people that didn't choose?
Opportunity.
How did you get an opportunity that other people didn't? You were in debt, so you didn't have the money. You didn't have the money to pay for
My
it.
parents didn't have much, but they had enough to keep me out the hood trying to make some money any way I can. I know people who have no anything. They have to go out there. They have no other choice. They have a horrible education. Do you know what the education system is like here? It's horrible.
Okay, so let's explain it like this.
This young man is wiser than Tatum. He might not be able to express himself better than Tatum, and he might even be losing this debate at sight. But this kid is smarter than Tatum, and I'll tell you why right now. Because he understands the fact that his mom just had enough to keep him out of certain situations, to keep him on the right track, was an advantage. He appreciates it. He's humbled by it. Tatum, he doesn't appreciate anything he has, and he will get karma for that later. God is real. You can't just walk around all arrogant and stuff when you were given certain advantages that other people don't get, especially when you're from an oppressed people. You walk around like a spoiled brat, like none of that mattered, like you weren't fortunate. Some people have moms on crack. I'm assuming Tatum didn't. And even if he did, he shouldn't expect everyone else whose mom's on crack should turn into a big time YouTuber. It's okay to give yourself some credit and say, you know what? I did something that most people probably would have failed at. That's fine. But Tatum right now is showing a lack of appreciation for his parents, because I'm pretty sure they were good parents, and anybody else that was a good role model to him or helped him out. Because throughout life, sometimes it's certain people you meet, certain people you talk to. Not everybody's gonna meet those type of people. So even really small things, sometimes people overlook, but it was a door to an opportunity. It helped out. And somebody else might have not got that help. Again, these are not excuses, but it's life.
I want to make sure we talk it at the same level.
Right.
So in America, every single person has an opportunity to do something with what they have in their hand.
And we have nothing in our hands. That's the point.
Let me say this. I believe wholeheartedly that God gives you a hand of cards to play. Hear me out.
God gives you
Hear me out. God gives you a hand of cards to play. Not everybody's hand is the same. What you can have a full deck of great cards and you play them poorly, you won't make it in life. You can have a bad hand. You play them strategically and you play them right, you'll do good in life. You had a not so good hand growing up where you grew up at. You made positive decisions that led you here. That's the hand you've been dealt. Everybody don't have a freaking silver spoon in their mouth. America is the only place.
They proportionately
Who
do.
is they?
Everybody else, man.
Everybody else like who? Are you saying white people? Brother, you
Yes.
in the same situation as all these white people and you playing the victim.
Am I?
You at the same
Am I?
university?
The youngster's talking about old money. Old money means money passed down from family to family to family. White people made a lot of money off of slaves' backs. They even made tons of money just selling slaves. But throughout this time, they're becoming rich and black families are getting nothing. Throughout time, they start building business while black people can't. So these families have what you called old money. Money that's passed down from generation to generation. Some people are born rich. Who do you think is born rich more often? Black people or white people? Now, Officer Tatum, I'm sure knows this. He's just playing stupid because he has a narrative to push. Officer Tatum knows old money exists and what it does and the power of it. He's just playing stupid. And the fact is, yes, we're all given cards. The point of the topic is not all the opportunities are fair and equal, that it is disproportionate. So if a black person makes it through a shitty situation from a shitty black community and becomes a doctor, it was harder for him to do it than a white person that came from money in the suburbs, blah, blah, blah. You know what I'm saying? That's the argument, right? Whether or not it's harder. It's not whether or not it's impossible. That's not the argument. Nobody is saying it's impossible. We're saying, is it level? Is it fair? Is it equal? Of course it's not. Is it getting closer to equal? Probably. But we're still looking at easily another 100 years or so. And the way things are going, the world probably won't be around then.
Am I? What does the same university have to do with anything?
You go to the same classes?
I had a 4.3 GPA in high school. I did what I was supposed to
you got
hit.
now?
I did what I was supposed to do.
What's your GPA now?
3.6.
Brother, what's holding you back then?
That's the point. Everybody doesn't have a 3.6. Everybody is
Do
not.
you just get a 3.6 because you woke up one day? You studied, didn't you?
Right, no, I
What?
actually didn't.
You didn't study.
No.
So then you have a gift that you can go and make a 3-point something and don't even study.
Right.
Brother, I mean, I don't.
Again, Tatum should be giving this guy props. He has a gift. Apparently, he's very smart. He had a 4.3 in high school, a 3.6 in college. But at the same time, he understands that he has this gift, not everybody. And just because he's this way, he shouldn't expect that everybody else can have it this way, or that it's just as easy for everybody else. That's called being arrogant. This young man is speaking for the community, not for himself. He's not that selfish. Tatum, on the other hand, is like, well, I'm good and I did it, so I don't see what the issue is with our ghettos.
The bottom line is that if you study, you work hard, you play the cards that you're dealt properly, you will be successful. This country makes more millionaires than anywhere in the world. You can talk, Oprah Winfrey came from nothing. Tyler Perry came from nothing. I mean, you go down a list. You go down a list, brother.
Why are you naming rich black people?
Because these are the people.
Why are you naming
what
rich
about me?
black people?
All right, me.
You talking about,
What about
me
me?
and you. I'm talking about everybody in the surrounding, everybody outside of this bubble.
Listen.
Exactly. The community. Tatum deals with outliers and talking about Tyler Perry and Oprah and stuff. A bunch of people that sold their souls. If you really want to know how they did it, that's how they did it. This guy is talking about the community. It's about in general. Of course, there's outliers. Why would anybody have a topic as if the outliers are what reality is or what's consistent? It doesn't make sense.
Man, you're a product of your decision making. You're an example that you can come from nothing and come to the
Product
university.
of your decision making when the majority
you
of
came
others
from
are a
nothing and you're
product
at the
of their
university.
environment.
What are we saying? You came from nothing, you're at the university. Well, how about you go and teach other young men like you that grew up where you grew up how to do what you did to get here, period. What's the problem in that? Well, come to the mic, please. Can you come to the mic?
He want me off the mic.
Come, no, it doesn't matter about recording. Can you come to the mic so we can hear your question?
All right, this video's getting long. I'm just going to stop it right there because Tatum's not going to say much more. He has the same narrative, the same response every time. Basically, make better choices. Everyone has an opportunity to be a god. And to me, it just comes off as he doesn't appreciate what he has. He doesn't appreciate that as a black person that could have had it a lot worse, he has it this good. Every day I thank God for what I got. Every day. I know it could have been worse. I know I could have been living somewhere else. I know I could have never moved to the white suburbs when I was 7 years old. But I hope most of you can understand what the point of this video was and also what the young black man was trying to tell Tatum. This is not very hard. This is not very difficult. And once we get on the same page, you can move from there. That's how it works. You admit what the real problem was. What's the underlying issues? How did you get there? And then you can make progress. But also, that's why they don't want us to know the truth. They just want us to say black people keep making bad decisions. And as long as you think that, well, black people will keep making bad decisions. But anyways, I think I talked enough on this video. So if you have anything to add, stupid, funny, important, not important, whatever, then comment below. Tell me what you think. Do you think it's all black people's fault that we have these shortcomings? Are we just making bad decisions and not taking accountability? Or could it possibly have a little something to do with the racist history of America?
Maybe, just a little bit, a pinch.
But either way, I hope you liked the video. I hope it was entertaining, maybe informative, maybe it gave you a different thought, or maybe you're not even at this point in the video. But if you are, then you know I need you to hit that bell like the hunchback. Also click that hit checker button and sub ride with me. And I'll see you on the next trip.
Day and night. Keep it real. Keep it real. Keep it real.